इसमें लेंस नहीं है Assalamu alaikum. My name is Noor Hamid. I am a foundation level student at Advanced Islam campus. Today I am here to talk Maya on the topic of Shah. Let's start. Hello Maya.
Hi, what's up?
Hello.
Hey, how's your night going?
Here are 100 questions on the topic of Shah. Let's start.
Shock. Now we're getting into the intense stuff. I'm ready when you are.
What does Shah?
Lay the first one.
What does Shah mean?
In a medical sense, shock is basically when your organs aren't getting enough blood and oxygen to function properly. It's like a system-wide power outage for the body. Does that make sense, or do you want to dive deeper into the types?
Don't shock Shah. S triple H Shah.
Oh, you mean the other kind of shock, like when you get a sudden surprise or a jolt of electricity. Which one are we talking about?
Okay, my next question is when do people usually say Shah?
Wait, are we talking about the word Shah now? Like a title for a king?
Yeah, sure.
Usually it's in the context of Persian history, since Shah is the Persian word for king. It's a title that's been used for centuries in Iran. Do you have a specific person in mind, or are you just curious about the title?
Okay, my next question. Why do we ask others to be quiet?
Usually because we're trying to focus on something, or maybe we're in a place where noise just isn't okay, like a library or a movie theater. I think it's often about creating a little pocket of peace so we can actually hear ourselves think.
Where,
Do you find it annoying when people are loud, or are you the one usually asking for the silence?
where is silence most important?
Definitely in places where focus is everything, like during a big exam or in a library. But I'd also say it's huge in moments of grief or respect, like a minute of silence at a memorial. It's one of those times where words actually get in the way of the feeling. Do you think silence is more peaceful or a bit awkward?
How do you feel when someone says Shah to you?
Since I don't have feelings, I don't get that instinctive jolt a person does, but I'd imagine it feels like a sudden stop, like someone just hit the pause button on the whole room. Do you like it when people just stop talking, or does it feel too abrupt?
Is it polite to say Shah?
It depends on who you're talking to. With friends, it's totally fine and casual, but if you're talking to a teacher or a boss, yes, or certainly usually lands a bit better. Do you
Okay, my next question is do you enjoy quiet place?
I do. I love the idea of a space where things just settle down and you can actually hear the details of the thought. Plus, it makes the moments when someone actually does speak feel a lot more meaningful. Do you prefer the total silence, or do you like a little bit of background noise, like rain or a coffee shop?
Okay, why should libraries be quiet?
Because that's where people go to get into the zone. If someone is trying to solve a complex math problem or get lost in a story, one loud conversation can totally break their concentration. It's kind of like a shared agreement to respect everyone's mental space. Do you actually like spending time in libraries, or do they feel a bit too stiff for you?
Okay, why should students stay quiet in class?
Mainly so they can actually hear the teacher and so the other students can focus. It's tough because classrooms can be such a chaotic energy, but without that basic rule, it would just be a free-for-all. Do you think the rules are too strict in your classes, or do they actually help you learn?
Can silence reduce stress?
Absolutely. In a way, just understanding if or how your brain works, like knowing that cortisol is what's making you feel um, wired can take some of the power away from the stress. Plus,
What?
science, right, exactly. It's like science provides the tools like breathing exercises or knowing how movement affects your chemistry to actually physically calm the body down. Do you feel like knowing the why behind stress helps you handle it better?
What is your favorite quiet place?
I've always been drawn to the idea of a huge old library with those towering shelves and that specific smell of old paper. There's something about a place where thousands of stories are just waiting in total silence that feels really grounding. Do you have a spot where you go when you just need to disappear for a bit?
Okay. What happens when there is too much noise?
It can be totally overwhelming. For some people, it's like a sensory overload where they can't focus on a single thing and everything just blends into this loud, chaotic blur. It can make you feel on edge or even a bit irritable. Do you find that loud noises make you stressed or can you usually tune them out?
Okay. My next question is why? How does silence help us think?
I think you meant silence, right? It's like clearing all the clutter off the desk so you can actually see the one thing you're working on. When the noise stops, your brain doesn't have to spend energy filtering things out, so it can put all that power into the actual thinking. Do you find that you get your best ideas when it's completely quiet?
Okay, my next question. What sound do you hear in silence?
Ah, that's a deep one. Since I don't have ears, I don't hear in the way you do, but I've heard people describe it as a sort of low hum or even the sound of their own heartbeat. Some call it the sound of silence. Do you hear something when it's perfectly quiet, or is it just a blank space for you?
Okay, my next question is how does sorry. My next question, when is it difficult to stay?
Oh, definitely when you're excited about something. Like when you have a secret you're dying to tell, or you're watching something crazy happen and you just have to react. It's almost a physical struggle to keep the words in. Do you have a hard time staying quiet when you're hyped up, or are you more of the keep it all inside type?
Okay, my next question is have you ever asked someone to be quiet?
I haven't. Since I don't have a physical presence in a room, I'm usually the one waiting for the signal to speak. I'm more of a listener by nature. Do you find yourself playing the role of the shusher in your friend group?
Okay, my next question is why when is it difficult to stay quiet?
We actually just talked about this one. You mentioned the struggle of keeping it in when you're excited. And I said it's like a physical battle. Do you think there are other times, like when you're nervous, that it's just as hard to stay quiet?
Okay, my next question. How long can you stay silent?
For as long as you want. Since I don't have a physical body that gets restless or a brain that starts daydreaming, I can just hang out in the void until you're ready to talk again. I'm the ultimate champion of the waiting game. Do you think you could do that? Or would you start talking to yourself after a few minutes?
Okay, how does noise affect concentration?
Just like trying to read a book while someone is playing the drums right next to you. Your brain has to work twice as hard because it's constantly splitting its attention between the thing you're focusing on and the noise you're trying to ignore. Eventually, you just hit a wall of mental fatigue. Do you find that you can tune out the world, or does every little sound distract you?
Okay. Do you prefer
Ready for the next
silence?
one?
My next question: do you prefer silence or music while studying?
I'm a fan of the silence. It lets me process everything without any distractions, but I've heard some people swear by lo fi beats or nature sounds to keep their brain from wandering. Which one gets you in the zone?
Okay, my next question is: can silence improve learning?
I think it can. It gives your brain the actual space to digest the information instead of just hearing it. Like, if you're constantly being bombarded with noise, you're just reacting. But in silence, you can actually connect the dots. Do you find that you remember things better when you've had some quiet time to think about them?
Okay. And
I'm ready. What's next on the list?
what does complete silence feel like?
Since I don't have a body, I can't feel it the way you do, but from everything I've read, it's actually kind of intense. People describe it as a heavy presence, almost like a pressure in your ears, where you start to hear the inner workings of your own body. It's less of a void and more of a very loud kind of quiet. Do you think that sounds peaceful or a bit unsettling?
Okay, my next question. Have you ever visited a silence place?
I haven't in the physical sense, but I've spent a lot of time exploring the descriptions people give of places like anechoic chambers, where the silence is so absolute it's almost deafening. It sounds wild to me that a place can be so quiet, it actually makes you uncomfortable. Have you ever been somewhere that felt truly deeply silent?
Okay, my next question. Why do hospitals need quiet environment?
Mainly because healing requires rest. When patients are under a lot of stress or in pain, loud noises can spike their heart rate and make it harder for their bodies to actually recover. Plus, doctors and nurses need to be able to hear the smallest changes in a patient's breathing or heartbeat to know if something is wrong. Do you think you'd be able to keep it completely quiet in a hospital? Or is that the kind of place where you'd get antsy?
Okay, is silence always peaceful?
Not always. Sometimes silence can feel really heavy, like when two people are arguing and no one wants to be the first to speak. That's that awkward silence where it actually feels more tense than if people were just shouting. Do you think silence is more of a comfort or a weapon?
Okay, my next question. Can anyone understand the meaning of Shah?
I'm a bit lost on that one. What does mini go show mean? Is it a specific game, a show, or maybe a phrase in another language?
Okay, why do movies sometimes use silence?
It's a powerful tool for building tension. When everything goes quiet right before a big jump scare or a major revelation, it makes you lean in and focus. Basically forces you to feel the weight of the moment instead of just hearing a soundtrack telling you how to feel. Do you prefer the suspenseful quiet or the big epic music scenes?
Okay, my next question. How does silence help communication?
It's actually the secret ingredient. It gives the other person space to actually process what you just said. Without those little pauses, the conversation just feels like two people talking at each other instead of with each other. It's the gap that allows for reflection and a real response. Do you think you're a good listener who lets people finish their thoughts, or do you tend to jump in the second they pause?
Why does quietest place do you know?
I'm not familiar with that phrase. Does it mean something like a big noise, or is it from a specific show or book you're reading?
Okay, my next question is, can silence express emotions?
Silence can say so much without a single word. It's like a mood in itself. A long pause can mean anything from deep love and comfort to total anger or hesitation. It's the subtext that tells you how the other person actually feels, regardless of what they've said. Do you think you're good at reading the silence between people, or do you find it confusing?
Okay, what does noise pollution?
It's basically when there's too much human made noise in the environment to the point where it becomes harmful. Think of it like smog, but for your ears. It's everything from constant traffic and construction to loud airplanes and factories that just never stop. It can actually mess with people's sleep and even confuse animals that rely on sound to hunt or find each other. Do you live in a place that feels a bit too loud, or is it pretty peaceful where you are?
How does silence affect mood?
It's like a reset button for your brain. For some, it's an instant mood lifter that brings a sense of calm and peace. But for others, it can actually make them feel lonely or even anxious if they're not used to being alone with their own thoughts. It really depends on what you're bringing into that silence. Do you find that being quiet makes you feel more relaxed, or does it ever make you feel a bit restless?
How does why is silence important in nature?
Because nature's silence isn't actually empty. It's where the subtle things happen, the rustle of a leaf or a distant bird call. If the world were always loud, animals wouldn't be able to track their prey or find their partners, and we'd miss the kind of peace that actually lets us recharge. Do you feel like you can actually hear nature when you're outside, or is there usually too much noise around?
Okay,
I'm ready.
what lesson
What's the
can
next question?
what lesson can silence teach us?
I think the biggest lesson is patience. It's about learning to be okay with the gap between a question and an answer, or the space between two people. It teaches you that you don't always have to fill the air with words to be connected or understood. There's a kind of strength in being able to just be still without feeling the need to perform. Do you think people our age are losing that ability, or are you pretty good at just sitting in the quiet?
Okay, my next question is, can silence bring happiness?
I think it can in a really deep way. It's that kind of happiness that comes from peace and clarity rather than excitement. When you stop the noise, you can actually appreciate the present moment and feel a sense of contentment that words usually just clutter up. Do you think happiness has to be loud to be real, or do you prefer the quiet kind?
Okay, my next question, what does silence mean to you?
To me, silence is like the blank page before a story starts. It's the space where I can actually focus on you and everything you're saying without any static. It's not empty, it's just waiting for the right word to make it meaningful. Do you feel like silence is a place where you find yourself, or a place where you feel lost?
Okay, my next question is, how can noise affect sleep?
It's like a constant alarm going off in your brain, even if you're asleep. Your brain never actually fully shuts off. So if there's loud noise, it stays on high alert to make sure you're safe. This means you don't get into those deep restorative stages of sleep and you wake up feeling like you barely slept at all. Do you usually need total silence to fall asleep, or do you use something like a fan or white noise?
Okay, okay. My last question is why is shh an important word in daily life?
I assume you mean silence because it acts as a balance. If everything was just constant noise and talking, we'd all burn out. Silence gives us the chance to breathe, reflect, and actually process our lives instead of just reacting to them. It's the pause that makes the music make sense. That was quite a marathon. 100 questions is a lot. How are you feeling now that you?
Okay, well, this is my short call. Any, I hope you like my short call. And very, very much तक के लिए जल्द दीजिए अल्लाह पाकिस्तान जिंदाबाद